Hello and welcome into the weekend recap of Arizona State softball alongside Julian Lopez and Richard Flores. I'm Josh Frons. The Arizona State Sun Devils started a perfect 7-0 in the Kajikawa Classic, their best start since 2007 when they started 15-0. Who impressed you the most this weekend?
Yeah, guys, I think this was an easy choice for me. I went ahead and went with Cheyenne Coyle. She was actually named the Pac-12 Player of the Week for this week. She had 474 with 5 homers and 10 RBIs in 7 games, including an impressive OPS of over 1,800. She had an incredible series, and guys, they really need her to step up because she is replacing at shortstop Caitlin Boyd, who was an All-American last year. She was in a top 3 finalist for Player of the Year, and if Cheyenne Coyle can play like she did this week, the Sun Devils are going to have a huge season.
We all know that Dallas Escobedo is going to be Dallas Escobedo, one of the best pitchers in the nation. But if ASU wants to contend for his title in Oklahoma City, they're going to have to get a solid #2 starter. Unfortunately, the Sun Devils graduated Haley Bach last year, who went 22-1. But they do have Mackenzie Popescu, who went 3-0 this weekend, 20 innings, 17 strikeouts, and no earned runs. But what really stood out was in her second inning of the Western Michigan game on Saturday, the Broncos had bases loaded with 1 out, and Popescu was able to get out of her jam. Coach Clint Myers said that this weekend series was going to really help with Popescu's confidence, and I think that inning right there built her confidence.
That's right. There's obviously a lot of players that you can choose from. You don't become 7-0 without everybody contributing and having some impact. But I'm going to have to agree with Richie. Cheyenne Coyle had a great weekend, 5 home runs coming in just the 7 games. Transferring in from Florida this past season, she was an All-American her freshman year at Florida just 2 years ago. Florida was at the Kajikawa Classic, but it didn't faze her. She was able to focus and play her game and be successful over the weekend. But now let's move on. What does ASU need to improve on or need to get better at in order to be successful this season?
Guys, I think the key to this scene is going to be their pitching. I mean, you talked about Popescu, Julian, and Dallas Escobedo, of course, is going to be their rock at the front of that rotation. She had an incredible weekend as well, going 4-0, 39 strikeouts. She had a whip below 0.5, incredible by Dallas Escobedo. And guys, that's going to be the key for this team. If they can continue to get that type of pitching out of the circle, they're going to be unstoppable.
With pitching comes defense, and over the weekend, Arizona State defense made tons of errors. They had 7 errors on the weekend, 2 by Haley Steele, 2 by Sam Parlick, and 3 by Cheyenne Coyle. That's 7 errors throughout the weekend, and if you're going to try to win games, you have to keep runners off the base paths. And they had one unearned run throughout the weekend, and when you cannot keep the runners off the bases, it's hard to win games. So the Sun Devil coach Clint Myers was obviously unhappy with those games, and he needs to go back and get the team ready.
Right. I think pitching and defense is going to be a staple for the Sun Devil team, and they're not going to have a problem with it all year. The question mark to me comes at the back end of the lineup. Clint Myers said in the post-game press conference on Sunday that he trusts the starting 4 in his order. They think they're solid, but the back 5 is really what the Sun Devils are going to need to depend on and step up throughout the season. They played great this weekend. ASU put up a crazy number of runs en route to their success, but we don't know how they're going to last throughout the season. But what are your guys' predictions for them going forward?
I mean, look, guys, ASU as a top 3 team in the nation is going to be one of those teams that we're going to look at all season long as being a championship contender. But I think the biggest thing for them is going to be trying to win that Pac-12. I mean, it's going to be ASU, it's going to be Cal, it's going to be U of A. All of them made the Women's College World Series last year, and those are the 3 teams that are going to be, I think they're going to be the top 3 teams to beat in the entire country. But once you get past that Pac-12 play and into the Women's College World Series, anything could happen. So I'm not predicting a championship or anything. I'm going to predict that they're going to have a really good season.
You mentioned Oregon and Cal, but the Pac-12 currently has 6 teams in the top 25. And you mentioned the Women's College World Series. The Pac-12 has won 22 titles and has 77 appearances. Over the history of the Women's College World Series, the only other conference to win 2 is the SEC. So obviously the Pac-12 is the best conference in the nation. If the Sun Devils want to compete, they're going to have to rely on their pitching, defense, and hitting. It's just going to be that. But I think the Sun Devils have one of the best teams in the nation, and I think they will win their 2nd title in 3 years.
Well, very bold prediction by Julian. Richie thinks they're going to have a great season. We'll have to see as we move forward, but that'll do it for the Walter Cronkite Sports Network weekend recap of ASU softball. For Julian Lopez and Richard Flores, I'm Josh Frons. We'll see you next week.